Hello and welcome to the next section of Chapter 2 for Accounting 205. This section is interest and dividend income, and it starts on page 2-4 in your book. Okay? If your taxpayer receives a 1099-INT, short for interest, or a 1099 DIV, short for dividend, okay, you will have to include these on lines 8 or 9 of Form 1040. Okay, let's go ahead and let's go back and let's take a look at those pages in your book. All right, remember that we always want to keep the 1040 out at all times. All right. That goes for your teacher also. All right, so on line 8A of Form 1040 is where any taxable interest would be found. All right, if your client had any taxable interest or non-taxable interest, that would be on line 8B. So think back to the Abigail Boxer return. All right, by now you should have finished that, and Abigail Boxer had taxable interest from Arroyo State Bank and non-taxable municipal bond interest from the city of San Antonio. The taxable interest would have gone on line 8A, and the municipal bond interest would go on line 8B. Okay, all right. Obviously, if it's non-taxable, it will not be included in the gross income amount on line 22. Okay, so going back to the book, all right, when we talk about interest and dividends, okay, putting the income from the 1099 are fairly straightforward. Okay, now a lot of the tax software out there, what you do is you go to the lowest level you can. Okay, and so in other words, you would go to the Form 1099 and enter the information there, or you would go to the 1099 DIV and enter the information there. If the software is working properly, the software will automatically update Schedule B, interest and dividends, and also update lines 8 and 9 on Form 1040. Okay, how you get to those forms depends upon the software you're using. Okay, the software that I use is called TaxWise and is put out by CCH. And what I do there is I start with the 1040, I go to that line on the return, and then I hit like the F9 key, and that allows me to drill down to the exact form that I need. Okay, so it's and like I said, in my case, I would go from the 1040 to the Schedule B, actually, then down to the Form 1099 or the 1099 INT or DIV. All right, and but other forms work differently. Okay, now one thing that's very important on here, okay, and the author doesn't really mention it much in the book. If you have a client who sold their home on a land contract, okay, or a home on land contract, okay, that means that the payer is going to be paying them a monthly payment, and part of that payment is going to be principal and part of that payment is going to be interest. Okay, the interest portion of those land contract payments has to be included in income, okay, by the recipient, and they would include that at the very top of Schedule B. Okay, you can research the Schedule B form, and it'll tell you right on there where they talk about seller financed mortgages. Okay, that's a land contract. All right, so the interest has to be included on that form. If you need to, all right, use your Excel skills, all right, and develop an amortization schedule for your client's land contract. Okay, they'll appreciate it for you, and of course, you can always bill them for it. Okay, so again, this is where Excel is used in a lot of different ways, including in taxation. Okay, dividends are another matter. All right, dividends, you need to look at the forms very carefully to see if any of the dividends are qualifying dividends. Okay, a qualifying dividend generally is dividends that are paid by a U.S. corporation or a foreign corporation that is based in the United States. Okay, what's the advantage of that? Well, there is a small table at the top of page 2-6, which you need to highlight, maybe put a post-it note on it, because those rates are extremely important. Okay, if your ordinary tax bracket, all right, is 10 or 15%, then you do not pay any taxes on your qualifying dividends. Okay, so again, you have to look very carefully at the 1099 DIV, all right, and there will be an amount on there for box 1 will just say, you know, ordinary dividends, and that would go on line 9A of 1040, and then it would say qualifying dividends, and that would go on line 9B of Form 1040. Okay, all right. The taxes then will be computed on something called a capital gain and qualifying dividends worksheet. It's a worksheet that is buried in the tax software. Okay, and all the tax calculations then are made on that worksheet. All right, and it will probably not match up perfectly with the tax rate schedules at the beginning of the book. Those tax rate schedules can't be used if you have a client that has capital gains or qualifying dividends. All right. Okay, so highlight that table at the top of page 2-6 because that is going to come into play. All right. And so that'll be it for this one. In the next video, we'll move on to alimony.